All right, Jay, you've been on social media a lot. I gotta know, freshwater or saltwater?
Or freshwater all day. There's zero hesitation, man. Like, well, that's how I came up. But I mean, you can see the empty saltwater tank behind me getting ready to get filled up. So,
Do I need to fly in and help you with that, Jay?
I mean, if you want to do that as a volunteer job, absolutely.
So you said you were brought up with freshwater. Tell me about your experience, how you got started with aquatics.
Actually, it's kind of like the same old story. You know, I got one of those comets at a fair or a school thing. Had them actually for 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I would nuke the water to get it to temperature, thinking that that was a good thing. It's a thing. I no longer do that, clearly.
You put tap water in, and then you microwaved it to get it up to temperature?
And then put the fish in.
Did you use dechlor?
No.
No. And it still did not.
No, actually, I dropped that bowl twice. We went to a bunch of different bowls. And then I tried to keep aquariums pretty much throughout my life, but the last aquarium I had before I started YouTube and getting like really deep diving back into aquariums was probably 2007. I had a 29-gallon community tank, freshwater, and then I started getting deployed a lot, so it just wasn't worth it.
I mean, I wore my water bomb squad shirt for you. Tell us about these deployments.
13 years in the Navy. I started Harbor Patrol, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and then I got picked up with a really sweet job. It started with just a Department of Defense contingency out of Florida. I worked at a CENTCOM. We traveled all over the world, mainly the Middle East, protecting assets and doing counterterrorism type operations. And then I took a job with NCIS and lived in Saudi Arabia. I've been to 46 plus countries. And if I was allowed to film and take photos, I can only imagine what I could show the world.
Any fish tanks that you saw in all these 46 countries?
Actually, the one that stands out, you're the first person to ever ask that. But the one that sticks out the most, there was an aquarium in the lobby of the Marriott in Pakistan, Islamabad. And I was in it, I believe it was 72 hours before it was bombed. Got out in time, but they had a beautiful aquarium when you first walked in. It was a saltwater, fake coral, but the fish were beautiful. It looked very healthy from what I remember. And then, yeah, it's no longer there.
So then you came back from deployments, settled down, so to speak, back into aquariums?
I didn't right at first. I was seeing a doctor and he said, you need to take up a hobby, whether it's bowling, golf. He said, get an aquarium. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get an aquarium again, because I was going through some stuff. And then I jumped right into a 55-gallon, which was absolutely heinous looking. And it kind of just steamrolled from there. I mean, I started with African cichlids in the bulk of my hobby and interest in pursuing a better way to keep fish.
So back into aquariums, where does Sicce come into play after your re-entry into aquariums?
2011, I jumped back into aquariums. So almost 4 years ago, I met Steve Berlin. Well, it would have been 4.5 years ago. I met Steve Berlin at a show, and I knew him prior to that, but I really got to know him at this show, and he was looking for somebody for Sicce, and I actually didn't throw my name in the hat at first because I was with another company at the time, and I wasn't sure if it would be the right fit. And long story short, I did it the professional way. I wanted to talk to my current employer before I put my name in the ring. And the next thing you know, here I am almost 4 years later, probably with the best, it is the best decision I've made career-wise outside of the military.
What makes you say that?
Man, dude, Sicce is such a family-oriented company. The same founder, Paolo Petinon, 1973, has four daughters. They're running the company now. It's a family-operated, family-owned company. It hasn't changed hands, still made in Italy. And you get a guy like Steve, who, if anybody knows Steve Berlin, he was birthed in a 10-gallon aquarium. So this guy knows every facet of the industry. You put that all together and you give somebody like me who is independently operating, I don't need somebody to tell me what to do day in and day out, and they give me the freedom They give me the ability to create. Ah, man, it's hard to take that away from somebody. I have a lot of, it's just really good. It's the best way I could say it, man.
Made in Italy, does that mean made in China and assembled in Italy, or is everything actually made in Italy?
So it's funny because I knew it was made in Italy from the get-go, but you never really fully understand that until you actually see a production line. And what I can tell you is made in Italy means made in Italy. It's made in our factory in Pozzolio, Italy. And I can't believe how they do such a phenomenal job. Well, I can. They're Italian. So day in and day out, they're manufacturing these products. So
Sicce is a family business. How does it feel to work in a family business that isn't part of some conglomerate corporation?
I said when I left, I worked in a doctor's office for 3 years, managing and expanding a physician practice. And it was family owned. And I promised myself that I would never do it again because there's a stigma with it. But then there's the stigma with a big corporation. Sicce has this perfect blend of knowing, what their past was like, where they want to go, the ability to adjust really fast, unlike a big corporation, but to be able to provide, the whole team, wherever we are in the world, everything we need to get the job done. That's why I say I'm not going anywhere unless they either pry it out of my hands or it's time for me to retire, which I'm too young to do that.
So I gotta ask, favorite Sicce product?
Ooh, of all time?
Well, currently in production. If I want to go get the product that Sicce J says is the best, his personal favorite, what is it?
It's probably our Extreme SDC. And the reason I say that is, it's whatever you want to call it, a stream pump, a wave maker. It's an inflow pump. We call it a stream pump, but it is controllable via Hydros, Apex, our app called Control. It measures your water temperature. It could kind of give you this small controller feel just in a stream pump. And it goes all the way up to 20 to 50 gallons an hour. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, 5-year warranty, and the ability to program so many different things with it.
And made in Italy.
That goes without saying.
Of course, it goes without saying.